Good evening, everyone. I'm calling the Commissioners' regular meeting to order for August the 16th, 2010. I'd ask that everybody stand for the presentation of colors by the Mount Olivet Methodist Church Girl Scout Cadet Troop 255.
Color guard attention. Color guard advance. Color guard present the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Color guard post the colors. Color guard retreat. You may be seated.
Now for the invocation. We'll be standing. I'll call on Eugene Oldham for the invocation.
Let's pray. God of heaven, Lord, master of us all, the one who knows and sees everything, I acknowledge tonight that you alone are God. You are the King of kings, the Lord of lords, the counselor above all counsels, and we have been created to worship you and enjoy you. Lord, we failed to worship and enjoy you as we should. Instead, we have broken your law. We've brought guilt and confusion upon ourselves by tolerating things you've forbidden, neglecting things that you've commanded. And for this, we ask your forgiveness, God of mercy. Thank you for raising up servants like those gathered here in this room to rule and to judge, to fight for justice and to preserve peace. Your word tells us that they are your ministers, your servants for our good, and so I pray for them. Give these leaders wisdom as they discuss and deliberate and make decisions that affect our community. Give them resolve, Lord, to do what is right, to choose what is just in your sight regardless of the risk. Give them a sense of deep conviction that your ways are right and good and true. And Lord, give them humility to recognize that their power and authority comes only from you. God, this council's authority is limited. It can extend only so far. Human governments can reward righteousness and punish evil, but only you can change the hearts of people. And so I ask ultimately, Lord, that you would transform this city by granting us peace with you, the peace that only comes through faith in the life, death, and resurrection of your Son, Jesus Christ. And it's in that name that I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. This time I'd ask the young ladies from Mount Olivet Methodist Church to come up, introduce yourself, and if you'll go over to your left, my right, Commissioner Cabarrus will give you a pen. Ladies.
My name is Gabriella Agnello, and I go to Harris Road Middle School.
Oh.
I'm Amanda Haverack, and I go to Kannapolis Middle.
You can pull it down if it'll make it easier for you.
My name is Maybelle Yancey, and I go to Northwest Middle School.
My name is Kayla McGee, and I go to Kannapolis Middle School.
Thank you, ladies. We have before us the minutes from July the 6th and July the 19th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as they were presented?
Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Now, we have the agenda items before us. We also have the addition of G4. Is there any movement of the agenda, or do we have a motion to approve the agenda as is with the presentation of G4, or adding G4 as new business?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now, under page 26 is recognition and presentation by Mr. Frank Lapsley. I'll call on Mr. Lapsley to come forward.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Sossaman.
And Ms. Sossaman. I want to introduce Pam Sossaman. I hope everybody knows and remembers Pam. Pam actually put together the slide presentation. She did such a great job with it. I wanted her to come tonight and get some recognition. On the weekend of June 18th and 19th, the arena hosted the USA Volleyball. They are the reigning Olympic champions from Beijing. We played Egypt over 2 nights, and they won both of those nights, so we're very proud of that. Additionally, the games were televised, tape delayed, played on July 4th in the southeast United States, so we got a lot of recognition from, I've gotten phone calls from folks saying that they saw us on TV, so that was nice to get. We'd like to present you with a volleyball signed by the complete Olympic team.
I will pass it down to everybody to see. We'll pass it over to Commissioner Privet to see.
And we have a short video that will recap our year that we've done for you in the past. So if you'd like, we'd like to play that for you.
Okay. Let's get this on the other side before we start playing it. I know Mrs. Sossaman's the
It
expert
actually goes
in the
better
videos.
if Commissioner
said it.
Carruth had said it to you. That's right.
You hadn't seen me play
Commissioner
volleyball.
Poole
when I
could
hit
have sent it down.
I'm in the middle of this. I'm not the net.
You're not a spiker?
No.
Play
I'm too
volleyball
short to
as
be
good as I do
spiked.
basketball. So.
Mr. Marshall likes to see these things up and close and personal, so maybe he can show us how to set the ball sometime. Thank you all very much. I went out there and saw the volleyball, and that was very, very well put on, and it was a good show from where I was, and and a lot of people were talking about it.
Thank you. We have 2 shows. You saw that the wrestling show was on there. We did such a good job with it, or they enjoyed coming so much that they have already rebooked for next year. So we're happy that they're coming back. It was very successful for us. We're also on October 1st, Commissioner Poole will be putting the Vince Gill and Amy Grant Christmas show on sale. So we'll make sure that we're taking care of everybody.
Excited.
Yeah. As are we, too. This is going to be a great show for us.
That'll be a great show.
Thank you all very much. Now we have informal public comments. This is the opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes about a concern that you have that you need to bring to our attention. And I've got some yellow cards here, and the first one I'd call on is Bobby Park. If you'll please identify yourself and where you live and let us know what's concerning you.
Hi, my name is Bobby Park. I live in Concord on Farmer Street. Excuse me. Having watched the animal welfare report given by Mr. Cabarrus on the August 2nd workshop, I was heartened. Though it was a shame that it took this family's tragedy, along with such a huge public outcry for action, to be taken, at this moment, I am only glad that action will be taken. Mr. Cabarrus, I am impressed at the depth of research you undertook. I am also buoyed by the fact that you seem to be striving to gain a working understanding of the no-kill equation. Ms. Poole, I was happy to hear that you oppose the gas chamber and would like to see a timeline in this process with notable benchmarks. Ms. Minot, though care is necessary, my hope is that you do want to see a quickly efficient process unfold. I also agree with you that once Cabarrus sets a good example, we can begin the lobbying process at the state level. Here are my concerns. Patsy Beaker of Kitty City has often and loudly stated her position in favor of cruel gas chambers. I believe her to be a danger to our animal population, and I am wondering why she seems to have your ear. During a recent phone conversation I had with Lieutenant Taylor, he told me he does not think the ideas you have presented so far will work, specifically the idea of a new adoption coordinator. Why are people like Officer Sean Austin hired in the first place? Not only does his behavior belie the fact that he lacks confidence when dealing with humans, he obviously does not care about animal suffering. Aren't there some sort of personality or ability tests in place? Sheriff Brad Riley, the guy in charge, does not believe there is a problem with animal control. These are all systemic problems which could very well sabotage our good work. A very wise man said 2,000 years ago, good seed cannot be sown into bad ground and be expected to grow into anything worthwhile. My hope is that these issues are addressed swiftly. Finally, regarding euthanasia by injection, state law dictates that certain animal segments not be destroyed in the gas chamber: the very old, the very young, and the very sick. Since Cabarrus has people trained, has the room, and has the supplies, why not just switch to EBI totally, especially since the American Humane Association's report in North Carolina shows that EBI is cheaper, safer, and more humane. I'm thinking of hundreds of kittens destroyed this summer, and I'm wondering why they're being killed at all. Kittens are one of the most adoptable animals. Obviously, the lack of adoption program, the lack of volunteers, the lack of foster homes, the lack of community outreach and public relations is the reason why the killing of any animal continues. But even in the face of these failures, kittens are not supposed to be put in the gas chamber. I hope the law is not being broken. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Robert Bartlett.
Thank you. My name is Bob Bartlett. I'm from Salisbury, and I would like to thank you for allowing me to come and speak to you tonight on something that's very dear to my heart. That's life, life, yes, life. Even though I come from Rowan County, I spend significant amounts of time and money here because I'm attracted to Cabarrus County. The businesses, because they seem to appreciate my business, and my wife spent 8 years as an RN at your medical center, and we handle all of our medical needs here in Cabarrus County. I worship my Lord here in Cabarrus County. I look around, I see the emphasis on healthy living promoted by the latest research campus close by, and a serious effort to help expand the lives of people. And these facilities, they create jobs. I see the extensive expansions of CMC Northeast, and I realize that that is to extend the lives and cure illnesses, which creates jobs. let me say the word recycle. How much is spent to save the aluminum can or the plastic bottle? Why recycle a can and not recycle a life? Is one not important? Well, of course it's important. Do people really love their pets? Will they spend their money on them? Well, PetSmart thinks so. They're taking over the Circuit City building in Rowan County soon, and they're all about animals, about pets. And to my point, my colleague Jeff Daniels will state to you, quote, even in the face of economic downturn, pet owners have actually increased spending on their pets, not decreased their spending, which means sales of dogs and cat supplies, grooming businesses, boarding and veterinary clinics, and yes, lots of taxes being paid to the county, and the animal has a home now. And you don't have to keep trying to find someone who will take the job of killing them in an awful gas chamber. The employee gets to help adopt the animal, not come to work to kill them. As Ron Poupil always says, how do you like that deal? Now, I ask each of you commissioners and those in this room, who wants to kill over 80% of the animals that enter the shelter in Cabarrus County? Any takers? No, of course not. 80% kill rate. With all due respect, ladies and gentlemen, this is a poor testimony of the heart and soul of such a wonderful North Carolina county. Can this change? In the words of Sarah Palin, you betcha. How about a 90% adoption rate? We encourage you, let's move now to a no-kill animal shelter. There are counties doing it by implementing it, a system of success that has changed entire cities, and it's hard for defenseless animals, just like the cats the lady just mentioned. There are counties, excuse me, one moment. When my wife can take an adopted standard poodle into a nursing home, no training, we adopted it from Wilmington, and see a woman who continuously screams out, help, let me out of here. Then she saw my girl Zoe, and in a very normal tone exclaimed, oh, what a beautiful dog. She was smiling from ear to ear. Hey folks, is that worth something? There's no training expense for this, just a successfully adopted poodle and people who have a heart for life. If San Antonio or Reno or Tompkins County can make it happen, surely with your support and committed leadership, we can make it all happen in Cabarrus County. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Bartlett. Regina Crow.
My name is Regina Kroll. I live at 804 Maplewood Avenue in Kannapolis. Shelter is defined as protection or refuge from blame or incrimination. A refuge is a place of shelter, protection, or safety. Is this what Cabarrus County provides animals, stray, or owner surrender? Why does the public not have an option to adopt? Why is it up to the Humane Society or rescue groups to pick and choose which animals get to live? The animals can be listed on the web, petfinder.com. These sources work. I know, I'm a petfinder.com mom. I adopted a dog from a kill shelter who was one of those dreaded black dogs with a spotted tongue and only 4 weeks old and had been deemed unadoptable by the shelter and Humane Society. There are so many avenues that can be taken if only the time was invested. Yes, it will take the citizens of the county to help. They will volunteer, but as a county, you have to ask for help. Can every animal be saved? Is this just a dream? It will take time, and this is understood. However, until that time, it should be done humanely. Humane, which is defined as characterized by tenderness, compassion, and sympathy for people and animals. So is it humane to place numerous animals in a big metal box, shut the door, turn the knob? No, it is not.
Doing good.
Sorry.
That's okay. Take your time.
Those animals, if healthy, suffer for 30 to 45 minutes before they die, if they're lucky. Those animals that are sick or young tend to take even longer and have to endure it again. If the animal just happens to be pregnant, the mother may die in that time frame, but her unborn babies don't. To me, this sounds like a mass killing machine, similar to something used in the Holocaust. Cabarrus County can euthanize an animal humanely by injection at a cost of $2.29 per animal and just let the animal fade away in 2 to 3 minutes. Currently, the county unhumanely euthanizes for a cost of $4.98 per animal. In 2009, 3,078 animals were euthanized in the gas chamber. With all the budget shortfalls due to the economy, a savings of $8,279.82 could be had. But it's not about dollars and cents. It should reflect how we are as a community, how we take care of our own, whether we walk on 2 or 4 legs. It's how we show generations to come that we did the right thing. This is a day and age in which dogs and cats are not animals, they're family members. I am a responsible pet parent. My dogs are treated better than most people's children. I've got witnesses at home that can attest to that. All 3 of my dogs have been neutered and spayed and are microchipped in case they should ever be lost. What if they should get lost and come into the wrong hands of animal control or the sheriff department where they aren't checked? As a parent, my dogs attend various functions from the canine cancer walk to bark in the park. At each event in Cabarrus County, I have been approached by a county sheriff wanting to microchip my dogs. Are they wanting to do this just for money? Because I haven't heard of any instances in which this has been used to help the dog find its way home. I was even told by several associates that are employees of the sheriff's department that they don't even bother to check, and it was a waste of my money. Dogs and cats get away by accidents. It happens. Children get away from their parents in department stores all the time. A child can ask for help, an animal cannot. A child can cry, a dog can bark. But depending on the officer, it may be taken as aggressive instead of scared. A child can dial 911 to ask for help. Paws can't. We are their voice and they need to be heard.
Thank you, Mrs. Fry. Next is Tamara Gasper. Mrs. Gasper, I don't have an address. If you could, when you state who you are, if you'll please give us your address, please, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
If I could approach, I'd like to present my
Sure. If you want to.
for you guys out there. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks.
My name is Tamara Gasper. I'm at 829 Chastain Avenue in Concord, North Carolina. I'm here tonight to share my story and ask for your help in reforming Cabarrus County Animal Control. You have my baby. This is hard. You can see this. A little over 3 months ago, my nearly 18-year-old cat, Snowflake, got out. She was a house cat. She was not allowed outside, but for some reason that day she just decided to run out when the door was opened. It was raining Saturday, so we couldn't look for her. I was afraid she'd be on a porch or under a car. There was no point trying to find her at that point. Saturday night around 10, we went looking for her, but we couldn't find her. Sunday, we went out looking for her again. We couldn't find her. It was still raining, so we posted on our Facebook page for our community that the cat had gotten loose and was missing. This prompted a quick reply from another neighborhood homeowner that she had seen the cat and that another homeowner in the neighborhood had called animal control to pick her up on Sunday. At that point, I was actually relieved. I thought, hey, this is great. Animal control has her. She's in a cage. She's safe. She'll be home. Monday morning, I called animal control to ask if they had my cat and confirm that she was there, and was told by the lady on the phone, without her even pausing for a moment, that she wasn't there. She didn't check the back. She didn't ask anybody else in the room if they had taken in a cat. I think she just assumed that she had not. No one had. This was disappointing because I didn't have flyers ready and I had to go off to school that day, but I had hoped that when I got home I would find her. As I arrived home from class, my children were coming off the bus and they were so excited because they had spoken with a boy on the bus who said that they had taken the cat to animal control on Sunday. I didn't understand because I had called that morning and they didn't have her. However, I was hopeful that they would. I decided to ask the mom for confirmation, and she told me that they had in fact taken the cat to animal control Sunday at 4 o'clock. Arriving at animal control, I was told again that they did not have my cat. I asked to check the cages in the back. They told me that they were not there on Sunday. There's no way the cat was there, and they would not let me check the cages in the back. They sent me off and told me to come back later and ask the Humane Society if they had taken in the cat. I came back at 5:30 and asked the Humane Society if they had the cat. They told me that Snowflake, the animal that you see in front of you, they would not have taken in an animal from an individual. They only get them from animal control, and that they did not have her, but they were willing to let me look in their cages. They could not, however, get me into the animal control cages, unfortunately. She wasn't there. I went back to the homeowner and asked for clarification and was told that she gave the animal to an animal control officer on his truck because the Humane Society would not take her. And if you'll bear with me just a moment, I apologize.
If there's anything you've written down that's more that you would like to hand up, we can put that in the minutes as well, but go ahead and finish.
Yeah. Okay. The homeowner advised me that she had given him to an animal control officer. He had taken her on his truck. I called back Tuesday morning now because the office was closed and explained to the lady at the front what I was told. She told me that she would check with the officer and have him call me. He called me, but the news was not good. Unfortunately, Snowflake was taken in at 4 p.m. on Sunday, and she was destroyed before 5 a.m. on Monday. My cat was with animal control for no more than 12 hours, and she was killed. No attempt was made to find her home. She was just discarded. I'm here to beg you to please consider some changes. Amen. Don't only, no kill, it's so crucial. If there were a no kill policy, in fact, my cat would still be in that shelter. I would have been able to turn to them for the help that I thought I would receive when I thought she was there, and instead I was handed a bag of ashes of unwanted animals. And I'm left wondering how many of those animals in that bag with her were wanted by somebody just like she was to me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Gasper. Is there anything more that you'd like to hand up? Thank you, ma'am.
Next we have is Mrs. Jessica Juba.
Good evening. I'm Jessica Juba. I live in Concord, North Carolina. It is exciting to know that you are committed to implementing a no-kill animal policy in our county. I commend you, Commissioner Caruth, for taking the lead and putting together a task force that will change the way we handle our animals. While we have to get organized and begin to implement this plan timely, we can stop the killing now. Impediments to this are the bureaucratic mindset of animal service employees, powers that have the authority to make change, a lack of urgency, and the false notion that people are irresponsible and there are too many animals and not enough homes. If the latter is really true, then why are pet stores and breeders still in business? These are typical excuses to validate the slaying of perfectly healthy, adoptable animals and to continue with the status quo. However, statistics show that these excuses are absolutely false. WSOC just stated last night that Cabarrus County is forced to euthanize 80% of the animals due to slow adoption rates and limited space. How can the county have slow adoption rates if they have no adoption program, period? They are not killing animals because of limited space or slow adoption rates. They are killing animals because they do not have life-saving programs, policies, and services in place. Clearly, Cabarrus County is not forced to kill 80% of the animals brought to animal control. It is a choice. It is a choice to continue the status quo and redirect responsibility of the high kill rates on anyone but the people that have the power to make change to reverse these numbers. If we made one small step, by opening the doors to pet seekers, these numbers would decrease right away, and lives that will be lost in the next gas chamber scheduling would be fewer. We can't expect the Humane Society, which is only open 16 hours a week, with limited volunteers, donations, and only 8 dog runs and 25 cat cages, to get these animals out of the shelter. It is time for the shelter to take responsibility and act. Let's not make the fact that we don't have a larger facility become now another excuse to delay slaying of perfectly adoptable animals today. There are many benefits to adopting from a shelter rather than another source. The community will not respond, however, until the killing stops. Just as it happened in other no-kill communities, once the commitment is made and a community outreach begins, people support the public shelter by adopting, volunteering, and donating. It is imperative that the board signal that commitment by adopting the Cabarrus County Companion Animal Protection Act and bring in an outside expert to assess animal control, identify opportunities, and make recommendations. I would like to submit some of the signatures we have gathered from the community so far. Over 1,000 people are raising this concern and have signed this petition, and hundreds are signing more each day. Simply put, this is the ethical and right thing to do. Again, thank you, Commissioner Caruth, and the rest of the board for educating yourself on the no-kill equation. We commend you for stepping up, and I hope the rest of the board will join you with a sense of urgency and compassion. Statistics show it can be done, and there is no reason that Cabarrus County can't adopt the no-kill equation.
Thank you, Mr. Juba. Mr. Jeff Daniels.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Jeff Daniels. I live at 2875 Eagle View Place in Concord. And I'm very excited and very thankful for the opportunity to serve my community. Know that I will be committed to providing as much assistance as possible to ensure our success in our endeavors. Thank you for taking our pleas to end the killing seriously. It is obvious that you do care about the issues and that you are concerned about the regressive policies and procedures that we do have in place right now. The killing of over 80% of our animals is certainly nothing to be proud of, but this can change, and it can change quickly with your help. Fortunately for us, there is a solution. Excuse me. Nathan Winograd in the No Kill Advocacy Center has ended the killing in several communities across the country. 2 decades ago, the concept of a no-kill community was little more than a dream. Today, it is a reality in many cities and counties nationwide, and the numbers continue to grow. And the first step is a decision. It's a commitment to reject the kill-oriented failures of the past. No kill starts as an act of will. The next step involves putting in place the infrastructure to save lives. Tompkins County, New York, much like Cabarrus County here, in size and in population, is celebrating their 7th year of saving over 90% of the animals they take in. The no-kill equation has been successful in Reno, Nevada, Shelby County, Kentucky, and has even spurred the commitment of the entire country of New Zealand. There is no secret to end the killing. Simply follow the no-kill equation. We must put in place a shelter director who will commit to and embrace the no-kill equation and reject excuses for killing animals as a method of animal control. This will be the most important factor of all when it comes to becoming a successful no-kill community. When you hear from shelter apologists that there are just too many bad owners and too many pets, know that there's not a peer-reviewed study anywhere that supports those arguments. The fact is, even in the face of an economic downturn, if you will, pet owners have actually increased spending on their pets, not decreased their spending. They have made cutbacks in other areas to ensure the continued quality of life for the animals to the tune of $50 billion per year. Cabarrus County can and will become a no-kill community, and one of the most progressive communities in America when we embrace the no-kill methodology. We have a choice. We can fully, completely, and without reservation embrace no-kill as our future. Or we can continue to legitimize the two-pronged strategy of failure, adopt a few and kill the rest. The No Kill Advocacy Center is the nation's first organization dedicated solely to the promotion of a no-kill nation, and it is the only national animal welfare agency that is staffed by people who have actually worked in and created a no-kill community. The power to change the status quo is in our hands. We must move swiftly and efficiently to achieve our goals. Thank you very much.
Thanks, sir. Karen Britt.
My name is Karen Britt. I live at 590 Crestmont Drive in Concord. I am with the Humane Society of Concord and Greater Cabarrus County, and we are the culprits in this shelter. We're the ones that saved 1,000 animals last year, and already this year we have 1,000 animals between having adopted 637 animals so far, and have right now in our possession and have saved the life of 363 more. Now, I am all for no kill. It breaks my heart when I have to go on Monday mornings and make selections for the few that we can save because we have no room. We have exhausted every avenue, but we are moving forward. And one of the things, and I'm tired of animal control being bashed. They're good guys. They love animals, and they do the best they can. They have opened up another 15 runs for us by moving their bite section to the back and opening the front section to the Humane Society. It is filled with animals that would have normally been euthanized. We started this on Friday. And it's open to the public. Anybody can come and look at these animals and adopt them, put an application in. We will vet them. We will make them ready to be adopted, and then they can come and take that. Now, since the meeting we had with Commissioner Cabarrus, Animal Control has contacted a lot of the people, the rescue groups. Nobody, absolutely nobody has responded. Not a one has come and taken an animal, whether it's a kitten or a puppy or a dog. Nobody has come and looked at the animals. So I am tired of this arousal of everybody with no solutions. I mean, if you want to save an animal, come out to the shelter and adopt one. I have 9 dogs and 15 cats because I can't say no and it breaks my heart. But somebody has to rise to the occasion other than with their mouth, okay? They need to come. If we have 1,000 signature on that, let those 1,000 people come and adopt a dog. We won't have to kill anybody. But stop talking and start doing. Now, I would ask that the commissioners do consider that, and last year, I sent a letter to Sheriff Brad Riley asking if the county will turn the shelter over to the Humane Society for its running so it can be open 7 days a week, 8 or 9 hours a day. That's what we want. We can double or triple our adoption rate that way. Right now, yes, we're open 7 days, but we're all working people, and and we have a lot of volunteers. We're not short on volunteers, but we have to have a paid position for somebody to stay there 8 hours a day. We can double or triple or multiply many times over our adoption rate if that is made possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Britt. Next we have is Bishop Roland Jordan.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioner. To my friend, Ms. Grace, who retired, did great work. And my brother Coy, whatever he decides, he's the colonel there. He's a good man. But tonight, my concern first is the animals. Yes, I love animals, but I had to have one of my dogs killed because he was vicious, and he didn't like kids, and I didn't want to get sued. But I put myself aside to have him killed. Sometimes you're going to have to kill animals that is aggressive, dangerous to society. They guard animals just like we guard people. You got the good and the bad. Our youth, you're doing a good job in helping our youth. We need to continue to do a good job for our youth. Our veterans, which I'm a veteran. There's other veterans in here. We ask for y'all to help us. We took time from our family. We was in danger mentally, and we still are dealing with things. I done had 3 or 4 strokes, but I'm still here. But let's take care of our veterans there. Don't forget about us. Praise God. Sheriff Riley, one of my great friends, make good decisions. One of the greatest sheriffs I would know. He's just like a brother to me. Help anybody. And I look for him to continue to serve Cabarrus County, as well as our chief of police. I oppose the gas chamber. I believe in life in prison as a Christian. And I actually support for the street in Cabarrus County, Dr. Martin Luther King. 8 years I've been working on it, but the Lord has spoke to me. It's time for next year to get that street. We got the roundabout where we have the memorial of Dr. King there. I know it's Cabarrus, might be named after Steve Cabarrus, so what, it can be changed. Things change, it's time for change, that we can have that street. It's better for our kids, your kids. You can be part of that history. You can call the mayor and whoever have that decision. I think if the majority, 50% say yes for the street name to be changed, it could be changed, praise God. If not, there'll be action taken for it out of our community. So we ask for your support, and thank you for a well-done job.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. That takes care of all the informal public comments that I have. Moving on to the next, as it relates to the issue on the animal control, we're going to talk about that later in the evening. That was the added item of G4, just to let everybody know. don't know when we'll get to it, but that's when we'll be talking about it. Don't have anything under old business, under the consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve the items under the consent agenda?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Under new business, G1 is the Rural Operating Assistance Program, and we have a presentation, then we'll have a public hearing and adopt a motion.
Good evening. We're here for our 2011 ROPE application from the state of North Carolina. This money covers a program called EdTap, which is elderly and handicapped transportation, employment transportation, and also RGP transportation. This year we are getting from the state of North Carolina the amount of $245,632, which will be used to carry out these trips. Also, on the end of the rows of seats, there is a public involvement form. If anybody would like to fill it out, that will be sent to the state of North Carolina.
Thank you. Any questions at this time? I'll open this up for a public hearing to speak for or against the adoption of the 2011 Rural Operating Assistance Program Certified Statement. Seeing none, I will close for public hearing. Close the public hearing. Do we have any questions? Do we have a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2011 Rural Operating Assistance Program Certified Statement?
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Next matter we have is G2, is the approval of the resolution authorizing the filing of an application for approval of a financing agreement for qualified school construction bonds as authorized by North Carolina General Statute 160A-20. Mr. Day.
As I mentioned at the work session, this is a fairly routine step along the path to selling debt. And if you would like any real questions answered about it, Deputy Manager Dubois is here tonight.
Tonight's vote is just to adopt the resolution and then place it on for public hearing on September the 20th.
That's correct. It doesn't do any more than that.
So if we do not have any questions tonight, we can certainly get the questions together for our September the 7th meeting. Are there any questions?
I move we approve it.
We have a motion to approve, motion to adopt, and a second to adopt the resolution. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries, and this also sets the public hearing for September the 20th. And if we can put it under on the work session in case there's any questions at that time. Thank you, Mrs. Honeycutt. Next we have is G3, which is the Board of Elections purchase or lease of the old Creamery building on Church Street. Mr. Downs.
Good evening. This item is the question that we've been talking about for quite a while now. It is the building that's located at 363, better known as the old Creamery building, that the board has made the decision to move our Board of Elections there. The question now is, do we purchase or lease? And depending on the answer to that question, do we hire our own architect, or do we allow the owner, the current owner of the building, to hire the architect and we buy it as a turnkey or lease it as a turnkey? So Mr. Morrison is here as well, and I can answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions for Mr. Downs?
Mike, could you, I had somebody in the community ask the question, and do you have off the top of your head ballpark figure how many different properties were looked at and how many people approached us with property?
I don't know the exact number, but I believe it was around 32 or 33.
Okay, so we have reviewed staff level and whittled those down, and the board even, I know, looked at several of those ourselves and considered several of those in this whole process.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is any of the funding coming from our operating account?
No, the funding that's presently is in the capital fund.
Capital account, and that was money that was in the capital account for a couple of years now.
Yes, sir, that you had budgeted to build the office building out at the old fairgrounds.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Downs? What's the pleasure of the board?
Looking at it, if we lease the building, then we're still going to be leasing the building 5 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still not going to, and it's going to be add to our operating cost to lease the building through our recurring funds, recurring expenses. Whereas if we purchase it, I believe, Mr. Chairman, we're going to be seeing we have the money in the capital fund already. We're purchasing that building. Although it would come off the tax rolls, it would still, grow in value and provide a anchor for continued renewal of economic development activity in that area of the city of Concord. So I don't see where it's really, I think, by the fact that we have the funds, it's already set aside. It saves us having to spend money on our operating budget. I think it makes sense to purchase the building outright.
I think in the long run, you're correct. I think that the purchase of the building, and I like the idea of purchasing this as is, nothing against Mr. Morrison or anybody in his organization, but if we're going to purchase it, we should get the architect we believe is going to, if something wrong, we want to be able to go to the architect and say, what did you do?
Right.
And I think I'm more comfortable with purchasing it and purchasing it as is, so we can do the upfits. Now, that's, if we purchase it and we purchase it as is, we still have the opportunity to do a full review to make certain, if there's any leaks or anything like that. I mean, like you do with your house.
That's correct.
Okay. Commissioner Minot?
I just want to add my concurrence with what you're saying about purchasing this, because if you just consider another 5 years' rent on top of the first 5 years' rent and the building upfit, you're coming out less and after 10 years than it would be to, about the same after 10 years as it would be to purchase it. And so then after that, we're not paying rent anymore.
Right.
We own it. So I think that's obviously the best way to go.
Commissioner Privet, do you have any discussion at this time?
I noticed, I was looking at the letter from Mr. Morrison, the purchase proposal. In that, it says that the seller will engage the architect and the construction company. Is that in concrete, Mr.?
That is one option is that we purchase the building as is, and the county would hire them. The other option is that we purchase the building, a complete building, meaning it's upfitted turnkey. We can move right in, and the offices have been upfitted. Right now, it's just a shell. And if we purchase it as is, then the Morrisons would hire their architect and contractor to do the work.
Or we can purchase it as is and get our own contractor or our own architect to do the work. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
What's the motion?
There is no motion. Would you like to make that motion?
Oh, I thought Mr. Caruth made a motion.
Well, I'll make the motion. And
We're discussing it right now, trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I move that we purchase the building for the price that's contained in the letters offered from the seller, and that would be bought as is, and that we would then we would move forward with the process of putting out bids or asking for requests for bids for architect as well as contracting for our own construction.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner Poole.
Thank you. I have two questions. One is the timeline that you foresee of being in the building?
Well, as soon as, if the board chooses tonight, this process, we will start the contract negotiations. Mr. Cook's already received a preliminary contract. Once Mr. Cook and Mr. Day approve that with your authority, then we will make the purchase. We will immediately select the architect, or you can do that this evening as well. And then we will have it designed. I would imagine it's going to take 60 to 90 days for design, and then probably another 60 to 90 days. Harris, you probably already, where's Harris? About 60 to 90 days for construction. So January, February. They would be in plenty of time prior to the preliminary or the primary election next year.
Okay. The reason that I was asking is that the Board of Education is moving programs in another year out of the old Odell, which I think is currently being used for storage. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that they would also want us to be out of there in the event that they decide to do something
right
with that property. So that was the reason why I was asking
yes, ma'am.
How long you thought it was going to be. So somewhere February, you would think occupancy.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Second question, and I may have overlooked it in here, Previously, we had done an incentive grant on that property.
That is correct.
So I would presume that at least the portion that goes with this part of the property would no longer be in effect?
That would
With the
be,
purchase?
a very good question, and that would be part of the negotiations between the county attorney and the county manager and the Morrisons.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That had actually been mentioned, I think, a couple of months ago when this first came up as being something that would be raised as part of the negotiating process.
And based on this, I presumed incorrectly then that all the we have a price, a purchase price, so I didn't see, we haven't seen a contract, an offer to purchase, an actual offer to purchase. But I would presume that as you work out those details, that would be handled, because obviously we wouldn't give an incentive grant on a building that was no longer owned by that particular company receiving the incentive.
Presumably, yes. And as Mr. Downs indicated, I have received a draft contract from the Morrisons to review. And there are typically in a document of that type, there are a number of different issues aside from price that are negotiated. And certainly the one about whether it was going to be designed and built by the Morrisons as opposed to the county was one of those issues as well.
And then just for awareness, I guess, I'm going to vote against the motion because my original vote was to go to the, whatever floor number it is, 7th floor over here, and that would be the reason for me to continue along that line to vote against the motion. I understand everything that's been said, and I can't disagree with you, purchase versus lease. I think that's a much better business decision, and I think you'll hammer out the details, but that would be the reason that, just to let you know that I will vote against it, is purely because of, I think that's where we should have been located to begin with, so, thank you.
Any other discussion? Commissioner Privet?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I oppose the original proposal because right across the street, we got a brand-new building with ample room for the Board of Elections, and I think it's just bad business, bad policy for taxpayers to go buy another building when you got ample facility right across the street, so therefore I will be voting no.
Thank you, Commissioner Privet. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-2. Next matter we have is G4, which is the new added an item, which is the Community Animal Adoption Program and expansion of the Animal Protection Preservation Advisory Committee. I would call on Commissioner Carruth at this point in time for the presentation of this information.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I'm sure most everybody's here tonight right now is wanting to hear this. So the last month, as you are well aware, well, let me back up. Before we go to that, I wanted to do a kind of a shout out. I believe Kara Prince, Sharon Bly, and I believe, Regina, you're involved in it too, aren't you? If, we got somebody else too? Okay, just y'all three are here tonight, okay. There is a new, I guess, brand-new group that started up, and if you've been on Facebook, they've taken full advantage of the technology available. It's called Help Save a Dog Network. And every day, I know at least a dozen times a day, I get have notices on there of dogs from everywhere that they highlight them, that need rescuing, pick them up, get them out of the shelters. And I wanted to just do a little shout out for them. So if you, it's Help Save a Dog Network, I believe. It's on Facebook. And so if you feel so inclined, look on that, because that's a good place too. In fact, the other day, someone had a dog that they had found, and I was looking at how do we get those two linked up. But anyway, that being said, I wanted to, you have before you an item tonight, and ask if it's as clear as mud, because what I did was went back after our last meeting. There were several questions that were raised at our last commissioners meeting. There was some discussion then of how do we, some of the parameters of a no-kill shelter program, a no-kill community. Did continue to do some research, consulted with some folks, looked at a lot of work on the internet, And looking at how do we proceed, because I believe what we wanted to do, I believe the intent of this board was to look at putting together a task force of folks that would continue to look at these things. And so looked at how do we do this, because I believe in our moving forward tonight, we're saying what I think Mr. Daniels said a little bit ago, that killing animals is not a method of animal control. And I think we're making that statement tonight by our vote. That we look at, the committee would look and study, what are some of the requirements? Because again, and I hate to use this as a comparison, but if you've seen, there's a miniseries, Band of Brothers, that was out. It's been out for about 9 years, and there was a scene where one of the Holocaust camps was first found. And one of the things that happened was they began to immediately bring food and feed the people that were in the concentration camp. And then a doctor appeared and said, no, you need to stop feeding them because their systems are so weak and they're going to die, and they will overeat and die. And what we've got to make sure is we plan this the right way, so when we move forward, we've got the best organized so that we have a long-term sustainable effort towards doing what we're going to be trying to do. But I looked at it too, is we've got to get moving on this. And one of the things, if we formed a brand new task force, what would happen is that we would vote and do it tonight. It would be another month before we would get appointments made, at least, and then another month before we would ever start getting any work done, so it gets organized. I looked then also, though, we still have our Animal Protection and Preservation Advisory Committee that has been meeting intermittently, has been basically working on spay neuter programs, but that group is already formed. We can add additional members to that, designated from organizations, and I believe they can go ahead and start meeting, have some representatives from these organizations come in and join them within the next couple weeks. And then next month, for additional members that we would add, community members at large, that we would appoint those members next month. So we basically get a head start by doing it that way. And so that's what you see here on what you have before you, is that you take the current composition of the Animal Protection Preservation Advisory Committee and you add additional members, which would be, I've already been approached by Cabarrus Pet Society to have a seat on that committee. I've already talked to Mr. Daniels about Justice for Bella having a seat on that committee. There would be 2 more community large members appointed in addition to what we have now. And then we would have other rescue groups. Once the committee's formed up, they look at other rescue groups they want to bring on board and include on that committee as well, so that we have representatives. Because the goal here would be, as we heard tonight, I want to point out that we heard tonight, and I've picked up on it because I've been involved in it for so long, is you have basically almost tonight 3 different opinions on other rescuers or on how rescue is done in the community. And I can tell you from looking at all 3 of those organizations, every one of them, all those folks have it hard to save and rescue animals. But what we've got, the challenge is to pull everybody together and get us all moving in one direction. And so the initial objectives, though, of this group would be as listed under number 4 there on the sheet that I provided for you, and you can read those questions. This is some of the questions y'all had brought up at our last meeting. If you have any additional questions, I would urge you to you can email me with those or whatever, because I'm assuming I'm going to be the liaison for this group. And then that's what they would do and come back to us with a report and a concept of basically how would we organize a shelter? What would it look like? Would we have paid staff, volunteer staff? What would that mixture be? Would there be any additional space needs for the organization? How would the lash up occur with the rescue groups in the community? How would would we make it a direct department underneath county government, or would we look at eventually spinning it off as a nonprofit organization? And how would all that work out? How would we work too with Karen and the Humane Society, and who's at the shelter now? And how would we work with them, and how they would be included? Because Karen is a member of the committee, will be would be a member of the committee, of how we would do that and pull that together. And if it's adopted by the board, then this group would use and develop the principles for how we would work together, and how we would continue to, and how we would install the components of no-kill shelter and no-kill community. So that's kind of where we're at. So I guess the action tonight, well, a couple actions. One of them is that we vote to move forward with forming and expanding the committee, remissioning it, so to speak, so that it's taking on the adoption program to begin studying the adoption program for the county. And then the other two items are that in our September board meeting, I know that Commissioner Poole, you had been wanting to talk about the euthanasia by injection issue, have a discussion of that. And I know Commissioner Privet had some questions about the animal control ordinance, is that we do a review of that ordinance as a board in our September work session. I know that's a lot short, but that's, I will put that, I guess, in the form of a motion that we do that we remission and expand the Animal Preservation and Protection Advisory Committee to include those extra slots. And first and foremost, of course, is that the Cabarrus Care position is open now. There's an open slot on that, on the committee as well from Cabarrus Care, so we'll be getting someone else from that organization. But that would be in the form of motion that we do that, adopt that.
We have a motion to add 5 additional members to the Animal Preservation Committee, Protection Committee. Do we have a second to that?
Second.
Discussion?
Oh, she beat me to the second. I see this whole process that we've gone through in the last couple of meetings as a very healthy one for our county, not only because of the issue that we're talking about, but because it's an example of community bringing something forward that they're very concerned about and having it be addressed. And I just hope that everyone doesn't expect an overnight change. This is going to take, as you don't have the list of questions in front of you, but there's a lot of questions that need to be answered by this committee and organization that has to go through. But I think there is, certainly on Bob's behalf, and I appreciate what Bob's done, a desire to get this moving, get it moving as soon as possible. But it's not going to be something that's going to be done in 1 week. So give us a little time, give that committee a little time. There are a couple of other questions that I'd like you to add, Bob, as we were having people address us. One is, I think that this committee should discuss the qualifications of any paid coordinator if that's what they try to do. I think we need perhaps an education of the community element. I don't know how you feel, but it makes me, it hits the pit of my stomach when I open up the newspaper, Local and Observer, and see page after page after page of puppies for sale. We are not being responsible pet owners, and we are indiscriminately breeding animals in this country. So I think there's an education piece that needs possibly to be considered as well. And as with anything else, where you're trying to get various people who are all very passionate about something to get together and work on something, you run the risk of turf issues. And we've all got to realize our goal is the same, no matter what organization you're with, no matter where you're coming from, the goal is the same, to take care of the animals in this community. And those are the things that I hope we'll think about as we go forward with this. But I think it's very exciting. Maybe after I'm retired from here, I can participate some way. I have adopted dogs, and my daughter does as well, and she needs one. She just lost her dear Jasmine, so, yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Commissioner Privet, do you have any? One thing, Commissioner Cruth, when this committee meets again, we do have something here asking to conduct review of other successful no-kill programs, which I think is good. I think it's also to learn from those that were not successful.
Yeah.
Because just because it's successful in one area doesn't mean it's going to be successful here. And whatever decision this board takes, whether it's called a no-kill, whether you come up with any other name you want to name it, it's going to be done right. It needs to be done right. And I think one of the things is to learn from other people's mistakes. I believe that
Lee County and Sanford just closed down a no-kill, well, stopped funding it. So the question I would have is, why? You know, why was it not successful? What was going on so that we don't make that mistake? And, you know, I certainly applaud everything you've done so far, and I look forward to hearing more from the committee and more, learning more about no-kill shelters and what can be done to reduce, if not eliminate, the 80%. And I think in the interim, what Mrs. Britt said was good, is that if we got 1,000 on the list, we can certainly put those names until we get to that stage. If we can get those names to Mrs. Britt, we can just start calling, you know, 1, 2, 3, and they can come on down and start adopting, because we can certainly do all our part. But anyway, any other discussion? We have a motion, we have a second to expand the, I'm going to call it the APAC Committee, the Animal Preservation Protection
And,
Animal.
Mr. Chairman, I think that probably once the committee convenes, may want to change the name of that, I don't, you know, so
Well, right now,
address that. Yeah,
to
right now, that's
expand
what-
that committee to 12, and to report back, and Commissioner Kruth report back in September about the next steps. But we have that right now. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you all. Y'all would, we have just a little bit more business. If you can wait for this, wait for just a few minutes before. Under H, we have appointments. First is the Adult Care Community Advisory Committee. Do we have a motion to reappoint Jack Boyer to the Adult Care Home Community Advisory Committee for a 3-year term ending August 31st, 2013?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Under the Library Board of Trustees, do we have a motion to reappoint Mary Little to the Library Board of Trustees as a Southern Cabarrus County representative for a 3-year term ending July 31st, 2013?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Under the Region F Aging Advisory Committee, do we have a motion to appoint Mrs. Mary Beth Kroom to the Aging Advisory Committee to fill the delegate position for a 2-year term ending June 30th, 2012, including an exception to the service on multiple boards provision of the appointment policy, and to appoint Anita Helms to the Region F Agent Advisory Committee to fill the alternate position for a 1-year term ending June 30th, 2011, including the exception to the service on multiple boards provision of the appointment policy. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Next is the removal from the Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee. Do we have a motion to remove Charlotte Hayes from the Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee roster?
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, motion carries. One thing I do want to call attention, Kate Moore at the Mount Pleasant Library is retiring after 15 years. And we were going to recognize her, but because of her schedule, she was unable to come to our meeting tonight, nor come to the meeting in September. You know, I think it's very important that anytime we have employees and people that work and are dedicated to our libraries as well as the county and different things, that we have a chance to recognize. And I know that although she's not able to attend tonight or next month, I do want to recognize Mrs. Moore for her dedicated service to Mount Pleasant and to the community as a whole, and I want to wish her well on her future endeavors. Any other? Mrs. Dubois.
You can drop in at the Mount Pleasant Library between 2 and 5 on August 26th to wish her well.
Thank you. Anything else?
The one thing to point out, Mr. Chairman, on the applications for committees, and because I know that probably a few people sitting here today at night that want to put in applications, you can get those from Kay, our clerk. She has the applications. It's online, actually, under the Board of Commissioners on the website. You can just, I don't know whether it's a web form where you can fill it out. It's Adobe. Okay, it's Adobe web form, so you can just fill it out right there and submit that, because that way we have a good pool of applicants next month to consider for those community at large positions.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Commissioner Meyer.
Googling around, as I love to do. I found a site that's should be of interest to our Cabarrus County folks. It's a new initiative sponsored in North Carolina called 10%. And it's trying to have everyone make an effort to purchase their foods locally, 10% of their foods locally. And they have a marvelous website which lists all the things that are available and places you can go. And I would recommend that folks take a look at that, because there's nothing better than local tomatoes and all that other good stuff.
I would expand, there's also good products in Cabarrus County that can be looked at first.
That's
Not just food.
That's true.
Commissioner Poole.
Okay. Earlier under the consent agenda, we had the agreement with the Economic Development Commission. And I don't know which camera's working since they're around the room now, but anyway, this is a book that Commissioner Minot shared, and I believe she shared it because her daughter Cindy got it through Rowan Cabarrus, and it's called The Small Mart Revolution. Now, we both chuckled, or I chuckled with your comment earlier. This is not one of those summer novels that you're going to go lay out on the beach and read. It's a little bit tougher to get through, takes a little bit longer to get through. But there's been a lot of discussion about the current economy and what's going on. And this was, like I said, it was a book that Commissioner Minot recommended. I'm part of the way through it because I've got 3 books that I'm trying to read right now before school starts. But it's How Local Businesses Are Beating the Global Competition, written by Michael Schumann. And never met Michael Schumann, though Mr. Day has, at a conference. But this is something that I think kind of explains a little bit about what the Commission's point of view is on, just like you said with the 10%, on how to support local economies, and that's where we need to look at. So you can get this, I would presume you can go to Walden Books and get them to order it, or Books A Million out at the mills, or online at any number of sites. But the Small Mart Revolution, I recommend it for everybody, and hopefully we're going to be able to do something as a commission sometime this year, and I mean that as a fiscal year going into the summer, as far as this book goes. So that's why I brought it tonight, and thanks again to Commissioner Minot for sharing this. I think it's very timely with the current economy and what's going on. So,
Any other comments? Mr. McDaniels, will Mr. Cox be coming into close? Okay. Do we have a motion to go into closed session to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the county, and invite Mr. Ryan McDaniels into the closed session meeting?
so moved.
We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all, everyone, and have a safe night.